Mercedes Mone has fans talking in this video. I'm going to tell you exactly why they're so freaking outraged, and how maybe you should look at it. Because Mercedes Mone, she is a controversial name in pro wrestling right now. She has been for the last year or so, and it's because of the moves that she's made in the space of pro wrestling. Even, let's take a branch out for a second. Over the last 2 years, think about it. In May of 2022, she and Naomi, well, they don't agree with Vince McMahon's creative plans. And they decide, bye Vince, and they walk out. They negotiate the releases, and they go off to their separate ways. Naomi, a.k.a. Trinity, well, she goes to TNA, where she has a long and successful reign as TNA Knockouts champion before returning to WWE this past January at the Royal Rumble, and she's done good things on SmackDown. Mercedes Mone, on the other hand, well, she went to Japan in January. And this was after she had talks with WWE, she had talks with AEW, and New Japan. She decided, hey, I'm going to go to New Japan, and I'm going to become the IWGP Women's Champion. And she does great things over there. She's a very smart businesswoman, right? She does these deals on per appearance basis, or, hey, I'm going to work 3 matches and make 3 appearances, and then we're going to renegotiate, right? And she made a lot of money for herself. Well, she was sidelined last summer in a match against Willow Nightingale with the New Japan Strong Women's Championship on the line. We know that. We've understood that. We've documented that. Well, fast forward, after being on the sidelines for multiple months and going back and forth in talks with the WWE and AEW, well, she signed reportedly in late 2023, making her the highest paid female pro wrestler in the game. Props to you. Fast forward to 4 months or so, despite not being medically cleared, she makes her AEW arrival, her big promotional debut on the Big Business episode of AEW Dynamite. And since then, she's had her highs and she's had her lows, but I really think AEW is starting to really focus in on Mercedes Mone, right? We've gone from she couldn't wrestle for multiple weeks to her trying to be this babyface, kind of forced-esque WWE light promos style, right? It didn't work. But now she's a TBS champion. She feuded with Willow Nightingale. Now she's entered into a program with Britt Baker, something which I think is going to do wonders for AEW and draw big business. Now she's also a heel and doing more authentic promos. Props to her, but she's also getting heat with a lot of fans. Well, why is that? Well, I can tell you this. So, Mercedes Mone, she did a lot of media leading up to Forbidden Door. Props to her for doing so, including a stop on Hot 97. And she discussed signing with AEW and working with Tony Khan, AEW Press. She says, I'm so thankful for a company like AEW and such a beautiful boss and leader like Tony Khan, who saw me for what I am. And he saw me for me as the best women's wrestler of all time. He worked endless amount of years to try to get me and come down to AEW. He finally got me. The numbers were right. The conversations were right. The alignment was right. And the goals were aligned. That's the biggest thing. I wanted the goals of what his mission was for AEW and women's wrestling in AEW. And I wanted to know I wanted to know how much he cared and how much he wanted to bring women's wrestling here in AEW. And the alignment was there. And we are making magic. Now, a lot of people will look at "we're making magic" line as like the controversial line, right? Because they like to be critical of AEW, its women's division, and Mercedes Mone. But that's not the line I'm talking about. We can talk about that one in a minute. But here's the line that I'm talking about. She kind of threw that out there and then moved on. Her declaring herself as the best women's wrestler of all time. Woo! Woo! That one has gotten people a little upset, and I'll tell you why. Mercedes Mone is extremely confident. Some would say that she's quite cocky. Is she the best women's wrestler of all time? No. Look, I understand there's a lot of haters out there. I understand there's a lot of supporters out there for Mercedes Mone. Me, personally, I'm a big supporter of Mercedes Mone. I understand the value that she brings to any promotion in which she joins. I understand the fact that she can draw outside interest. I understand that she brings a unique in-ring style and a unique personality And I understand all that. And I'm a big fan of her. And I think she's going to do wonders for AEW. I think she's already done wonders for AEW. I think the proof is in the pudding. But let's not go that far. Because I can list Becky Lynch over Mercedes Mone, megastar. I can list Charlotte Flair over Mercedes Mone, megastar. By the way, those two, what do they have in common? They were bigger stars than Mercedes Mone was in WWE. Okay? That's just the reality of the situation. And number 3, I have stated this once. I'll state it again. I personally think the GOAT, the best of all time of women's wrestling, that honor goes to Trish Stratus. She's the GOAT in my opinion. She's a pioneer. And why is she the GOAT? In addition to putting what we know now as women's wrestling on the forefront at a time where WWE did not want that, she has continuously come back and is not only the same that she once was, she's a better version than she once was. Both in-ring ability, both in-ring psychology and prowess, and her promos and her character work, top freaking notch. Whether it was her return in 2019 when she feuded with Charlotte Flair and had her one retirement match in Toronto at SummerSlam that year, only to come back, or in 2023 when she came back as a babyface, that nostalgia Trish being paired with Lita and Becky Lynch, only to completely put the wrestling world on its axis and turning heel, feuding with Becky Lynch and aligning with Zoe Stark. So that's why she's the best of all time, in my opinion. Consistent, over time, and being able to reinvent yourself. You check them, she hits them. Mercedes Mone, look, she's still young in the game. She's still in her prime. You cannot compare her to Trish Stratus. You just can't. You can compare her to a Charlotte Flair. You can compare her to a Becky Lynch. You cannot compare her to the GOAT. And the GOAT, I'm sorry, Monet, I'm sorry, you're not the GOAT just yet. That honor still holds to Trish Stratus. Just my opinion. Let me know if you agree with me. WrestleSTAR fam. A few news and notes here. First of all, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you are notified every single time we upload new wrestling content here to the channel. Also, if you would like to further support the channel and my family, please consider dropping some money on a membership, subscribing to that. You'll get additional content. There's a bunch of awesome perks out there, including members-only videos, which I highly recommend you go and check out. Also, if you are looking for some sweet pro wrestling merch, down in the description below, I have a link with some 2 sweet promo codes, including free shipping. All that information down in the description below. Thank you so much for changing my life, my family's life, and supporting the channel. And I will see y'all in the next video.